What would you think if I told you that every single person who ever broke your heart wasn't a mistake? That they weren't random, they weren't a coincidence, but an assignment, a divine appointment scheduled by your own soul for your own evolution. They'll tell you it was just bad luck that he shattered your trust. They'll say it was just life that those friends ghosted you at the exact moment you needed them most. They'll tell you to move on, to forget, because these things just happen. But that's the story we tell ourselves to avoid looking deeper. That's the surface narrative that keeps us trapped in cycles of pain, wondering why the same kind of person, the same kind of heartbreak, keeps finding us again and again. The truth is, there's a deeper pattern at play, a hidden choreography behind the apparent chaos of our lives. The legendary psychologist Carl Jung didn't believe in randomness. He saw patterns, he saw archetypes, he saw soul contracts unfolding in real time. He believed that life doesn't just happen to you, it happens for you. It's constantly trying to reveal you to yourself. He gave us a warning that echoes through the decades, a truth so profound it can stop you in your tracks. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So let's pause on that. That breakup that you thought was meant to break you. What if its real purpose was to break the illusion you were living in? The illusion that your worth was tied to someone else's approval. The illusion that you needed to be chosen to be whole. What if that brutal betrayal wasn't bad luck at all, but a divine interruption? A spiritual emergency brake pulled by the universe to get you off a toxic timeline that was leading you further and further away from your true self. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, doesn't just send people into our lives, it sends mirrors. Every person who enters your orbit, especially the ones who trigger the biggest emotional reactions in you, is there to reflect something you're not willing to see on your own. They are living, breathing messages from the deepest parts of your own psyche. They mirror your hidden fears, your unhealed wounds, your suppressed power, and your forgotten worth. They are assignments. Think about the one who loved you so passionately and then left, seemingly out of nowhere. The pain was immense, but the lesson was profound. They were there to show you how dangerously attached you had become to temporary things, how you had built your entire sense of stability on a person instead of on your own foundation. And what about the one who manipulated you with their tears, who made you feel like their happiness was your responsibility? They weren't just toxic. They were a mirror, exposing the part of you that still secretly believes that love must be earned through suffering, a deep-seated wound from childhood that whispers, "You are only valuable if you are fixing someone else." And the one who walked away without a single word of closure, leaving you in a torturous limbo of unanswered questions, their silence was the lesson. They were teaching you, in the most painful way possible, that you are the closure you were searching for. That no explanation from another person can ever complete a story that needs to be finished inside your own heart. So no, none of it was random. Not the love, not the loss, not the silence. It was all a form of spiritual surgery. It was your soul, in its desperate cry for evolution, calling in the precise experiences you needed. Not what your ego wanted, not what would feel comfortable, but what your growth demanded. Sometimes, the divine doesn't send you an angel in soft, white robes to comfort you. Sometimes, it sends a person to trigger you, to poke and prod at the most sensitive parts of your being so that the aspects of you that still desperately need healing can no longer hide in the shadows. This isn't about blaming them or even forgiving them right away. This is about awakening to the truth of the design. Because every person you've ever loved, ever hated, ever feared, or ever obsessed over was never a mistake. They were an assignment, a reflection, a message from your own unconscious, from your own soul, from the parts of you crying out from the basement of your being. Please, see me. Please, heal me. Please, grow. Carl Jung didn't just study people. He studied the invisible patterns, the archetypal energies that move through them. And when you start to do the same, Your entire perspective on your past will shift. You'll stop asking the powerless question, "Why did they hurt me?" And you'll start asking the powerful question, "What were they sent to teach me?" That shift, right there, is the moment the real healing begins. It's the moment you stop surviving your past and start using it as a blueprint for your future. You begin to understand that the universe speaks through people. It doesn't send memos or emails. It sends human beings wrapped in messages. Every person is a mirror, but not the kind you use to check your hair. It's a deeper, more terrifying, and ultimately more liberating kind of mirror, the kind that reflects the parts of your soul you've been too afraid to look at. It doesn't show you who you pretend to be. It shows you who you really are underneath all the masks. Let's go even deeper with this. Has this ever happened to you? A complete stranger says something to you in passing. A single sentence so specific, so piercing, so uncannily relevant to what you've been privately struggling with, that it feels like the universe itself hijacked their voice to speak directly to you. That wasn't luck. That wasn't a coincidence. That was alignment. That was a soul contract activating at the exact second your soul was finally ready to hear the truth. Or have you ever fallen madly in love with someone who felt like pure sunlight, who lit up every dark corner of your world, only to watch them vanish like smoke, leaving you colder and darker than before? That wasn't just a betrayal. That was your own shadow taking human form. It was your unacknowledged grief, your suppressed fear of abandonment, your hidden insecurities, all materializing in the form of another person to show you exactly what you've been refusing to heal within yourself. We walk around thinking we choose the people in our lives, but more often than not, they are chosen for us by something far bigger than our conscious plans. They are chosen by our unconscious, by the universe, by our soul's curriculum. The universe rarely sends us what feels comfortable. It sends us what brings clarity. And people are the primary agents of that clarity. Some arrive as gentle guides, whispering healing into the cracks of your soul when you're too tired to fight another day. They hold a space for you that feels like coming home. But others are here as teachers, sent to relentlessly challenge your thinking, your patterns, and your ego. They question everything you thought you knew about yourself. And then there are the destroyers. These are the ones who arrive with divine permission, sent not to ruin you, but to strip away the entire false identity you've built your life upon. They don't show up to make you feel good. They show up to make you see. They are here to make the unconscious conscious, to bring the festering pain to the surface so it can finally be lanced, drained, and transformed into wisdom. Carl Jung believed that until you face what's within, the world outside will just keep sending you people to trigger it. Your soul doesn't want comfort. It wants truth. It wants freedom. It wants wholeness. And sometimes, the only way to get there is by walking through the fire that someone else lights. But here's the secret that most people never realize: the beautiful reward at the end of all this painful work. The more you heal internally, the less chaotic the people you attract become. The more you integrate your own shadow, the less you need someone else to act it out for you. The more you love and accept yourself, the less you need to be mirrored by people who abandon or disrespect you. When you heal the wound, the mirror changes. The universe stops needing to send you destroyers and can finally start sending you builders, collaborators, and fellow travelers who are on the same frequency. So the next time someone new walks into your life, especially if they spark a strong emotional charge, get curious instead of reactive. Ask yourself, what part of me is this person reflecting? What lesson is hanging in the air between us? What buried truth are they, knowingly or unknowingly, here to help me unlock? Because if you're brave enough to ask those questions, you'll stop labeling people as good or bad, as mistakes or soulmates, and you will start to honor them all as messengers, even and especially the painful ones. You begin to see that every person who has ever entered your life didn't just walk in by chance. They were sent. They arrive precisely when you're ready to grow, even if ready feels like being completely unprepared. Carl Jung's work suggests that people don't appear in your life by coincidence. They are summoned by your unconscious. They are living embodiments of your soul's deepest truths, needs, and unresolved conflicts. Not everyone who shows up is there to love you, support you, or comfort you in the ways your ego desires. In fact, many are there to do the opposite. They are there to expose you, to awaken you, to trigger the parts of your soul that have been dormant for far too long. They are the alarm clock you keep hitting snooze on, and their presence is the final, blaring sound that you can no longer ignore. Their arrival often feels less like a gentle knock and more like a wrecking ball. But that's because the walls you've built around your heart have become a prison, and they have been given the divine task of demolition. Let me explain how this works on a deeper level. If you meet someone, a stranger, and in a brief conversation, they say one sentence that shakes the very foundation of your reality, it's as if the universe itself is using them as a mouthpiece. Their presence activates something ancient within you, a forgotten memory or a deep truth. This isn't just a chance encounter. It is a soul contract coming to life, an agreement your soul made long before your conscious mind could ever comprehend it. Now, let's flip the page to something more familiar, more painful. Someone new enters your life, and you fall desperately in love. It feels magical, transcendent, like everything you've ever waited for. But slowly, inevitably, it turns to chaos. The magic sours into manipulation, the connection into confusion. You're left heartbroken, doubting your own worth, wondering how something that felt so right could go so wrong. The answer is that the person wasn't sent to complete you. They were sent to reveal you. They were sent to shatter your illusions, to crack open the false identity you've clung to for years for a sense of safety. Carl Jung called this the sacred work of the shadow. He believed that every part of yourself that you refuse to face, every pain, every fear, every insecurity, every unacceptable desire, doesn't just disappear. It gets pushed down into the unconscious, and from there, it gets projected outward onto the people you meet. And guess what? The people you attract, especially in intense relationships, they become the screen for your projections. They become your living mirror, showing you everything you've denied in yourself. Think about it. The people who irritate you the most, who trigger a disproportionate amount of anger or annoyance in you, often reflect the very traits you haven't accepted in your own shadow. The people you obsess over, the ones you put on a pedestal, often hold the keys to the emotional wounds you've left unhealed, representing a love or validation you never received. And the people you fear losing the most? They almost always point directly to the void within you that you've been too terrified to fill on your own. So no, people don't just show up. They are placed. Strategically, intentionally, spiritually. Some are guides, some are messengers, and some, as we've said, are destroyers with divine permission. They are here to tear down your ego, rip off the mask, and force you to face the pain you thought you had successfully buried. And while it hurts, while it can bring you to your knees, this process is sacred. In Jungian psychology, this is the difficult, treacherous, but ultimately essential path to individuation. It is the journey of becoming your whole, true self by integrating every lost, broken, or exiled part of your being. You don't become your higher self by reading books about spirituality or posting inspirational quotes. You become your higher self by surviving the people who were sent to challenge your deepest illusions. That friend who betrayed you, they weren't just evil or untrustworthy. They were a mirror, sent to show you your own unhealed abandonment wound, forcing you to finally address that terrified part of you that believes everyone will eventually leave. That partner who triggered every single insecurity in your chest, who made you feel like you were never enough. They were holding up the very mirror your soul had been avoiding for a lifetime, reflecting back to you the core belief that you are somehow flawed or unworthy of love. And the ones who walked away without giving you closure, they were the ultimate teachers. They were teaching you that you are the closure. They were teaching you that no one outside of you can finish a story that is incomplete inside of you. This is precisely why Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Most people spend their entire lives running from their triggers, labeling people as toxic, and cutting them off without ever asking what that person was trying to show them about themselves. But what if the trigger is the teacher? What if that person you can't forget, the one whose memory still has a visceral hold on you, is still lingering in your energy not because they're meant to return, but because the lesson they carried, the medicine they brought in that bitter cup, has not yet been fully accepted and integrated? Every human interaction is sacred data. Every relationship is a spiritual classroom. And every heartbreak is a syllabus for your own transformation. So instead of asking that victim-based question, why did this happen to me? You start to ask the creator-based question, what is this trying to reveal in me? Because the universe doesn't speak in abstract words, it speaks in people. And when you're finally brave enough to listen, to truly listen to what their presence or absence is telling you about yourself, you'll realize you were never being punished. You were being prepared. It's easy to hate the ones who hurt you. It's human to replay the betrayal, to resent the silence, to curse the pain that kept you up at night. But what if they weren't your enemies? What if the people who shattered you were actually sacred messengers, wearing the disguise of chaos? Carl Jung understood this truth better than almost anyone. He didn't see suffering as a punishment to be avoided at all costs. He saw it as a portal. He famously said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." The soul doesn't evolve through comfort. It doesn't grow in the shallow end of the pool. It evolves through the cracks. And the ones who cracked you open, they were never random. They were precisely designed, like a key to a lock, to pull you out of your false self. They were sent to burn away the parts of you that were built on fear, on people-pleasing, on a desperate need for external validation. Think about it in concrete terms. That person who completely betrayed your trust? Yes, the fire of that pain burned. But that fire also forced you to finally, seriously, question who you give your precious energy to. It burned away your naivete and replaced it with discernment. That lover who left you in the dark without a single answer? That feeling of abandonment broke you. But in breaking you, it also built you. It taught you how to create your own light in the darkness, how to stop depending on someone else's flashlight to find your own way forward. That friend who turned cold and distant the moment you needed them most? Their absence hurt, but it also revealed a painful, necessary truth. Not everyone deserves a front row seat at your healing table. These aren't just sad stories. They are initiations. They are sacred fires. They are invitations to a deeper, more resilient, more authentic self. One that is not defined by who stays, but by who you become when they leave. The great poet Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Jung taught a similar truth. The breakdown is often the birthplace of the breakthrough. And the people who wound you, in a strange, cosmic way, they are the midwives of your transformation. You don't become powerful by being protected from all pain. You become powerful by learning how to stand in the fire of that pain and transmute it into purpose. Yes, they hurt you, but in doing so, they unlocked doors inside of you that might have remained rusted shut for a lifetime. Because of them, you stopped giving your trust away blindly. You stopped tolerating emotional inconsistency. You started valuing your own presence. You started finally healing the childhood beliefs that whispered, "You're not enough unless you are needed," or "You must suffer to be loved." So don't curse them. In the quiet of your own heart, when you're ready, thank them. Thank them for doing the messy, painful job that your own comfort zone refused to do. Thank them for being the storm that tore the roof off your carefully constructed little house. Because only then did you look up and remember that you were always meant to build a sky of your own. In Jungian psychology, the shadow isn't your enemy. It is your invitation. And very often, It is the people who trigger your shadow the most who carry the golden key to your next evolution. So instead of asking, why did they hurt me? Ask, what did their presence awaken in me? That is where your power lies. That is where healing begins. Not by forgetting what happened, but by fully understanding what it was for. And that, right there, is how the light gets in. And so you begin to realize that these souls travel in packs, scattered across timelines, but woven together by purpose. Have you ever locked eyes with someone for the very first time and felt a conversation that had already started lifetimes ago? That inexplicable sense of déjà vu, that deep, quiet knowing that comes without any logical explanation, as if your soul reached across the space between you and whispered, "Oh, there you are. It's you again." That isn't just chemistry, that is recognition. That is memory, not of the mind, but of the soul. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, a vast, shared spiritual blueprint where these soul memories live, untouched by linear time. It's the reason you can meet a complete stranger and feel more seen, more safe, more profoundly connected than you've ever felt with people you've known for years. Because sometimes the bodies are meeting for the first time, but the souls have danced together in 1,000 other ballrooms. This isn't fiction, this is resonance. Some souls walk into your life not to teach you something new, but to help you remember what your soul already knows. You might say aloud, "I feel like I've known you forever," but what your spirit is really saying is, "My soul has been waiting for this reunion." These connections aren't just relationships, they are revelations. Sometimes they last for a single, breathtaking moment. Sometimes they stay for years. And sometimes they arrive, crack you wide open, and then leave just as quickly because their sacred work is done. These are the soul contracts we spoke of, agreements forged in pure energy and sealed in purpose long before this life began. Some are meant to love you, some are meant to trigger you, and many are meant to wake you up from the deep slumber of unconscious living. You don't attract them with your mind, you remember them with your soul. And when that remembrance happens, it's as if the universe itself holds its breath for a second. Everything aligns, the noise of the world fades, and for a brief, sacred moment, you step outside of time and into a space your soul has been to before. Jung understood this with profound depth. He knew that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. And that's exactly what these soul meetings do. They transform you. Not always gently, not always beautifully, but always, always spiritually. Because the soul doesn't crave consistency, it craves growth. And growth often comes wrapped in the form of people who make you feel both completely safe and dangerously awake at the very same time. So when you meet someone and everything inside you sings a song of eternity, trust it. That's not a fantasy, that's a contract unfolding. It's the universe reminding you that you are not traveling this journey alone. You are part of a soul pack, reunited through purpose. These connections are sacred. Honor them, even the ones that ended in tears. Because even if the ending was heartbreakingly human, the meeting was divinely orchestrated. Not every soul that walks into your life, however, is meant to walk with you forever. And recognizing this is not failure, it is design. It is understanding the soul's architecture. Some people come into your life like cherry blossoms, delicate, breathtakingly beautiful, but heartbreakingly brief. Their magic lies in their impermanence. They arrive to show you what beauty feels like, what magic is possible, and then they disappear with the first strong wind. They are not meant to hurt you, but to remind you that nothing truly beautiful can ever be possessed, only experienced and held in gratitude. Then there are those who arrive like powerful storms. They are unpredictable, violent, and raw. They don't ask for your permission. They shatter your old reality to pieces, leaving you standing in the rubble of who you used to be. But when the storm passes and the sky clears, you see they have left behind a gift, clarity, strength, and a foundation you never could have built on your own. And then there are the roots. These are the quiet ones, the invisible souls who don't always need to say much. They are the ones who hold you steadily in your darkest hours, the ones who stay beneath the surface, carrying your weight when you've forgotten how to stand. Carl Jung believed that every soul we meet plays a symbolic role, that there are no coincidences, only inner projections meeting outer reflections. He said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And every relationship, all of them, are invitations to wake up. But here is the trap most of us fall into. We try to make everyone a permanent fixture. We cling desperately to the cherry blossoms, begging them to grow roots. We stand in the middle of the storm, pleading with it to stay. Even though it's destructive, creative work is already done. We confuse the teachers for soulmates, the lessons for lifelong contracts. But the universe doesn't work that way. It sends people based on your level of consciousness, and once the message is delivered, they must leave because their mission is complete. Don't resent that. Honor it. Because what matters most is not how long someone stayed, but what they activated in you while they were here. Did they awaken your self-worth? Did they mirror your deepest wounds? Did they make you feel seen in a way you had forgotten was possible? That was their purpose. So let them go. Let them go with love, with gratitude, with a quiet understanding. Sometimes they don't explain why they're leaving. They just disappear. No warning, no final conversation, no apology, just a deafening silence that echoes louder than any goodbye ever could. And that silence leaves you searching, replaying, trying to find the one thing you could have done differently, as if closure is a debt they owe you. But the truth is, they didn't leave without a reason. They left because their role was fulfilled. Their scene in the movie of your life had reached its final line. Jung said with piercing simplicity, "What you resist persists." The more you fight to understand why they vanished, the more you trap yourself in a painful loop of obsession. The pain isn't always because they're gone. The real pain is your resistance to accepting they were never meant to stay. Closure is not something they give you. It is something you give yourself. You don't need their words to make peace with your path. Instead, ask, what did their presence awaken in me? What version of myself was born through that pain? That's where the healing lies. When you refuse to release someone whose role is done, you energetically block the arrival of those who are truly aligned with your next chapter. Don't let nostalgia become your prison. Let them go, not with bitterness, but with a quiet gratitude for the lesson. Say thank you, even if they'll never hear it, because some of the deepest goodbyes don't feel like endings. They feel like a rebirth. And now, for the final reveal, the one that changes everything. While you've been sitting here, analyzing who hurt you, who taught you, who transformed you, you have forgotten one crucial truth. You have done the same for others. You were also the assignment. While you've been asking the universe, why did they enter my life? There is someone, somewhere, quietly whispering, why did you enter mine? You weren't just a student in their story. You were the mirror in theirs. You were the trigger. You were the storm. You were the safe place. Yes, you. You were the reason someone finally confronted their fear. You were the reason someone let go of a toxic past. You were the catalyst for a stranger's transformation, even if they never told you, even if they disappeared afterward. Soul contracts don't always come with a thank you note, but their effect is permanent. We are not isolated incidents. We are threads in one divine tapestry, woven together by a force far deeper than logic. In that tapestry, you are not just a receiver, you are a transmitter. You have been the person someone couldn't forget. You have been the one who shattered an illusion. You have been the quiet voice that sparked someone else's awakening. You don't need to be famous or loud. Your energy, your growth, your silence, it has all been a lesson in someone else's classroom. So before you mourn who left, before you spiral into regret, pause and realize this. You are part of the sacred design, too. Not just as a seeker, but as a guide. You have been someone's turning point. You have been someone's sign from the universe. This entire journey, the mirrors, the wounds, the lessons, the letting go, it all leads back to one place. The return to self. All this time, you kept searching for the answer in their eyes, for healing in their arms, for a sense of home in their presence. But the power you were praying for was always within you. The love you begged for was buried under years of your own self-rejection. You were never lost. You were just on a long, winding path back to yourself. You are not rebuilding. You are revealing. You are unlearning everything that made you forget your own divinity. Those nights you thought were breakdowns, they were breakthroughs. Every time you cried for someone to choose you, it was your own soul begging you to choose yourself. This is your spiritual sovereignty. You were never broken, only buried. And now that you've cleared away the debris of your past, you can finally rise as the person who was waiting on the other side of all that pain. The truth is, you were the answer all along. You were the soulmate you were waiting for. And your greatest love story is the one where you finally choose yourself and never, ever abandon again.
Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next content. Goodbye.